Thanks for joining us for this edition of National Focus. I'm Pearl Fontaine. Coming up, regional airlines partner to increase access into Dominica. Enhancing literacy among primary school students continues to be a major focus for the Education Ministry, and prominent Caribbean academic professor Norman Gavan died in Cuba yesterday. Dominica extends sympathies. Stay with us for these and other stories after this.
The black Sikatoka fungus can survive on banana and plantain leaves even after they have been cut from the tree. Farmers and hucksters are encouraged to use alternate cushioning material when moving produce from farm to the market. Do not use banana and plantain leaves as cushioning. It is against the law to move banana and plantain trash from the field. Obey the law and stop the spread of black Sikatoka today.
Thanks for staying with us. Education Officer for the West, Margaret Jules Royer, says the continued focus by the Ministry of Education on improving literacy skills among primary school students must be commended and encouraged. On Wednesday, the Ministry of Education staged a literacy exhibition on the ground floor of the government headquarters, which culminated activities marking Literacy Awareness Week. 16 schools in the Western District from Kulabishri to Roseau displayed literacy works of students and teachers from grade K to 6.
At this time, as a Ministry of Education, we're focusing a lot on literacy, among other things. And when we look at the results of our national assessment, grade 2, grade 4 national assessment, even the grade 6 national assessment, we realize that we need to continue the work in literacy, especially with a strong emphasis on writing, because a lot of our students sometimes are not doing very well at writing and different forms of writing. So this exhibition is a culminating activity of our Literacy Awareness Week, which was school-based in the 16 schools around the Western District. And so we showcase today is the work of the students. We also have a section for the teachers. So the teachers have some of their poems and their own writings. We have strategies the teachers can use. We are also showcasing that. And we also have a section for the teacher resource, which are books and handouts which teachers can use to help them improve the literacy at the schools.
The education official says teachers are continuously being trained on new techniques in teaching literacy.
And one of the things we have done is to send persons to be trained to come back to assist at the school level. We are also doing a lot of retraining based on the districts, retraining of the teachers in various components in literacy. So we are doing all this, and there's we're placing a lot more emphasis on supervision of the teachers, both by the principal, by the senior teachers, and by the officials of the Ministry of Education, because we have to get it right. We have to be a literate community.
Jules Royer informed GIS News that the students' response to the new teaching methods adopted by teachers is encouraging.
They are just overwhelmed, they love it, and they are very much more engaged, because the focus on the new way of doing it is moving from the teacher-centered type of learning to the student-centered type of learning. Because our students has to be at the middle, at the center of anything we're doing. So we have a strong emphasis on student-centered learning. It's not all about chalk and talk. Let them do. That is why we are having literacy across the curriculum. If you notice, some of the exhibit has a strong art component, because there may be students who are not very strong at writing a very lengthy composition or a poem or a short story, but they can take the same topic and they can make a model for you. They can also draw. You understand? So we would be doing those things differently now.
Wednesday's exhibition was held under the theme Literacy Across the Curriculum. The Division of Agriculture continues to adopt specific approaches to managing the spread of the black Sikatoka disease in Dominica. The black Sikatoka, which is a leaf spot disease affecting plantain and banana trees, was first identified in the south, southeast and east of Dominica in July of 2012. Coordinator of the Black Sikatoka Management Unit, Carol Abraham, told a discussion at the Government Information Service recently that the disease was curtailed by 2 severe seasons of drought in 2012. Abraham noted that the fungus requires damp conditions to spread and confirmed that since 2012, The disease has been found in several communities across the country.
After its initial identification, we went through a very serious drought, and that assisted us in, it held back the disease, the spread, because the fungus needs a certain amount of moisture and high humidity for it to do its continuous life cycle. So if it doesn't have those conducive conditions, then it's not going to spread. But once the rains came, obviously we started to see it move. And at present, it's practically all over the island. You find the lowest incidence of disease would be in the north and on the west coast. But there are pockets, like in the northeast, pockets in Calibishi, where you have serious levels of infestation.
The Black Sigatoka disease is mainly spread by the wind and man's activity. The agriculture official confirmed that the spread of the disease, especially among plantain trees, is of great concern. Abraham says officers from the Black Sigatoka Management Unit have been monitoring over 50 banana and plantain farms on a weekly basis to determine which farms need to be sprayed.
They do what they call control readings. They check the specific plants to see the progression of the disease. And as a result of that, the information we get, we see the control levels on a weekly basis. Now, if you have a reading of 4, that is the point where you start to think this place needs some spraying. Anything higher, definitely you have to look at spraying the area. Anything lower, you can hold back on the spraying. Now, one of the good things of having the monitoring officers is that these guys all have banana experience. They came from the fair trade thing. And that information is going to guide us as to where we need to start spraying first. Prior to this current spray cycle, we would just spray everything. Everything got sprayed, whether you needed it or not. We wanted to be safe rather than sorry. But now we can strategically decide, okay, in Calibishi, the upper Fouchette area is the worst area, start in that area, you know? And that's basically, I mean, they are on the ground, and then they give us feedback on a weekly basis.
7 people have been contracted to conduct the spraying on the farms. As an added precautionary measure, the agriculture officials are asking people to de-leaf the infected leaves from the trees and turning them upside down to allow the fungus to go into the ground.
By preparing, I'm saying that they need to remove the diseased leaves, at least from stage 3-4. You need to take those leaves off the tree, because the current thing that we're using, which is tilt, this is effective against stages 1, 2, and 3. Any stage 4, 5, and 6 leaf you have on your tree will not be cured by the tilt. Rather, if the man is passing through the fields and these lower leaves are touching his shoulders, then he moves from this field and he goes to the other one. Then he himself is going to be helping to spread. So that is why prior to any spray cycle, we ask the farmers to clean their fields, de-leaf, de-sucker to reduce the humidity, weed. All that reduces the level of humidity and makes sure that you don't have pools of water in your fields.
Abraham also explained that abandoned fields have become a major concern for the ministry in its fight against the disease. She said farmers with abandoned fields are given the option to cut down the plants. She said if this is not done, then the ministry has the legal right to intervene.
We have the legal right to go in and destroy abandoned fields. We didn't want to just take that hard and heavy hand. So you have to write the farmers. You inform them, yes, we have identified Sigatoka, your place is not cleaned. We'll give you X amount of time to clean it up, or you yourself can cut the plants down. If you fail to do that, then the ministry has the right to go in and inject.
Abraham concluded that while the ministry is continuing its efforts to manage and contain the spread of the Black Sigatoka, there is a need to solicit greater cooperation from all stakeholders.
People has had the idea that that was the farmer's business. All they're in the field doesn't concern me. But they have to realize that whether they have one little fig tree in their backyard, they need to check. They need to be familiar with the signs of the disease. They need to de-leaf if they need to, and do what they have to do. It affects everybody. 1 tree in your yard, or 150 trees, or 600 trees an acre. You have to be aware.
The Black Sea Katoka disease has so far been identified in Concord, Marigot, Wesley, Benz, Ross Castle, Central Region, Fontaine, Emsall, Goodwill and Bath Estate. In more news, St. Martin-based Windward Island Airways, Win Air, and Guadeloupe-based Air Antilles have teamed up to assist Dominica in improving its air access capability via St. Martin. The business partnership between the two airlines will facilitate travel to several countries, making approximately 15,000 seats available to Dominica. At a press conference called on Wednesday, Chief Executive Officer of the Dominica Air and Seaport Authority, Benoit Badwell, said the partnership will make travel to and from Dominica much easier.
Our French neighbors, Guadeloupe and Martinique, is extremely important in our tourism business, given the fact that a number of our visitors come from the French West Indies, as well as the French West Indies is used as a gateway to Europe. And so having Air Antilles as a partner with Win Air, which also have great connections for us through St. Martin, creates an avenue whereby we have now increased our capability in terms of the number of seats available to Dominica.
The partnership between Win Air and Air Antilles will allow 3 weekly flights to Dominica on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Badwell says Dominica's target of bringing 90,000 stayover visitors to the island by the year 2015 looks more realistic as a result of this partnership.
As we make that thrust towards moving Dominica towards the target of 90,000 passengers in 2015, is beginning to create these opportunities so that our tourists, our guests who wish to come to Dominica will now find easier routes to be able to connect to us.
Meanwhile, Win Air's Chief Executive Officer, Michael Cleaver, said the partnership with Air Antilles is very important to both companies. He said as a matter of priority, both companies will seek to reserve Dominica from its hub in St. Martin.
Our first step was to serve, or reserve, I guess is a better word, the Dominica from our hub in St. Martin. The flight originates in the French West Indies. We're going to coordinate our efforts with Air Antilles to improve this. I think the first step is education of the traveling public to get awareness. We've made the important first steps. We're very pleased with that. I'll speak a little bit about Win Air in St. Martin. We have 13 interline and co-chairs, which makes connecting of passengers from Europe, North America, South America, and intra-Caribbean islands virtually the same day. We are very pleased with the initial results of the Dominica, St. Martin, Dominica routes. We do have work to do, but we feel very confident that with our partners, we can get the work done to, one, fill the flights, bring people to your lovely island, which is what we want to do.
Chief Executive Officer of Air Antilles, Sergei Sigelnitsky, is optimistic that new routes to and from Dominica could be developed with the new partnership.
We have been working together for the last 9 months, I guess, trying to develop new routes, trying to think about new things we could do together, and it appeared to be a success. Today we have increased our fleet. We are operating 4 ATRs at AT. They are operating 5 Twin Otters. That makes a fleet of 9 aircraft in the area. And we intend to develop that fleet and go further and try to open new routes.
Win Air will use brand new leather seats, spacious seating pitch ATR 42-300 series to fly the new routes. In an exclusive interview with GIS News on Tuesday, members of a Canadian organization, the Delian Project, expressed hope of introducing an automated voting tabulator to Dominica to facilitate smoother progression of the voting process. Tasia Flozak brings us more information in an in-depth report.
In an effort to share with the rest of the world the rapid expansion and success of Canada's electoral process, members of the Delian Project, a non-governmental organization (NGO), have dedicated their time to helping jurisdictions implement positive change in the democratic voting process through the application of technology. The Delian Project consists of a group of Canadian former election administrators who have identified an area in technology and the electoral process that, if brought together, would produce a better election experience. Chairman of the Board of Directors John Hollins stated that the Delian Project has been working with nations across the world to introduce this possibility to create fair, free, fast and transparent elections.
Being a non-government organization, we've affiliated with the United Nations Global Compact and the Clinton Global Institute, and along the idea of if we can help democracy and governance in some countries, the perception, and in some cases the reality, the elections are more fair, free and transparent. Not that every nation needs that, but they do like to have results quickly. The idea of the system we propose, it's a tabulator. So the voting experience for the voter is minimized. They come in, they mark their ballot, and typically you would put your ballot into a ballot box. With the system, you put your ballot into the tabulator, which drops it into the ballot box for you. The big gain in the system is that at the close of polls, instead of waiting hours and hours and hours to get the result, I often look like a soccer game. I don't go to the soccer game and then go home and have someone email me the results in 6 hours. So it's along the same line. So if you close the polls at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, you press a button and you have the results that quickly.
The project was launched into the Caribbean at a conference in Suriname and received commendable reviews from 8 out of the 10 countries represented. Hollins demonstrated the steps taken in the voting process using the tabulator.
So a person would come in and typically they would get a ballot. And the ballot would then be initialed by the presiding officer, and then it would be folded and handed to the person. They would go and they would mark it in our secrecy area, bring it back folded, and it would be deposited into a ballot box. Because of the technology, instead of a soft paper, we now use a bit of a bond. And to keep the secrecy, when a ballot is issued, we give it also a secrecy sleeve, which really just means wherever I go, nobody can see how I voted because it's underneath here. Now, they would now take this to a location, secrecy. They would open it up, vote for whoever they want. In this case, everybody loves Paul McCartney. So we would vote for Paul McCartney. They would close the sleeve and bring it back. And then the person by the machine would make sure the initials were on it. Then they'd turn it over for privacy, and they just put it in the machine. Now the machine is going to pull that in and take a picture of it. And then at the end of the day, when we press a button, it's going to accumulate all of the results. And then it will print the results here. And then at the same time as it prints the results here, we hook in a modem that sends the results to wherever the election management body wants.
According to Hollins, the tabulator method simply delivers results. In manual voting, if a presiding officer fails to sign a ballot before it is issued, in some cases that vote casted would be considered invalid. The machine was designed to mitigate this problem by sending the ballot back out if it is not signed. Therefore, the voter can be confident and comfortable that if the machine accepts their ballot, it's read like every other and considered a valid vote. Hollins noted that the white marking area on the black grid assists voters in identifying the accurate places provided to mark a vote. After a poll is closed, the individual in charge uses a security key and password to lock the machine and avoid any tamperings. 2 storage memory cards can be located at the front of the tabulator for redundancy and to maintain all images of the ballot for review purposes. The pilot project was recently launched in Jamaica, where the Delian project members at the main polls in Kingston, 180.2 kilometers from Montego Bay, received poll results within just 3 minutes. Chairman of the Dominica Electoral Commission, Gerald D. Burton, relayed the Commission's satisfaction in working with the Delian project to implement this new technology.
The Commission is quite happy for the opportunity to have the Delian project here to introduce this technology, which we think provides an exciting opportunity to improve the voter registration, the voting process. In that it would assist us, the technology assists us in improving the manner in which we tabulate election results and eliminate a lot of the errors and difficulties which often result in challenges to an election. In addition, of course, to the speed with which election results could be received. We were also happy with that we had the opportunity this morning to meet with the political parties and to expose them to the technology, because an important part of the process is going to be the education of the general public. And we believe that if the political parties are on board with us in such a project, we would certainly have an easier time in explaining to the general public the manner in which that this would improve the process of the election.
The NGO covers the expenses and provides expertise if the election management body decides to go forward with the program. The first excursions were in South Africa and the Republic of Georgia. The chairman indicated that the Caribbean nations were of particular interest due to similarity in the UK electoral system, and smaller populations proved to be more affordable based on proximity and capacity. This technology was first introduced in Canada in 1985.
Thank you, Tassia, for that report. Moving along, 72-year-old UWI professor Dr. Norman Gavan passed away in Cuba on Wednesday. Dr. Gavan, a Jamaican by birth, was a professorial research fellow at UWI's Institute of International Relations. He served as Secretary General of the Association of Caribbean States, Professor of Development Studies, and Director of the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies at the University of the West Indies. In 2010, he was appointed as the UN Secretary General's personal representative on the Guyana and Venezuela border controversy. Dr. Gavan has also been a member of the United Nations Committee on Development Policy since 2009. Director of the International Relations Institute at UWI's St. Augustine campus, Andy Knight, told CMC News that Dr. Gavan was flown to Havana for medical treatment. The former UWI professor has published extensively on the political economy of development in the Caribbean and the Global South, and was the recipient of several honors and awards. His passing comes just 3 months after he fell during a hike to the Sari Falls.
While walking along the trail there was an area where it narrowed in a bit with a rock sticking out from the cliff side. And I think he slipped there and he plunged some 50 plus feet below, I think, and he suffered an accident, very unfortunate accident, where he damaged his cervical vertebra, and that rendered him totally paralyzed. We were able to stabilize him in the hospital, take the necessary x-rays and whatever we had to do in terms of diagnostics, and we were able to give a diagnosis of the damage to his cervical vertebra.
The late Dr. Gavan was flown out of the island the following day. Parliamentary representative for the Roseau Valley constituency, Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre, has expressed his sympathies to the family of the late Dr. Gavan.
On behalf of the Prime Minister, Government of Dominica, I want to say to the family, both his wife, his son, his daughter, and even their dear friend, Mr. Ivan Nassif and Mrs. Nassif, that we extend our, condolences and our sympathies go to him, as a man who supported Dominica and as a man who we thought, based on our, relationship with him, he had a lot of good things to say of Dominica, and in particular.
In other news, former Trinidad and Tobago President Arthur N.R. Robinson, who had been ailing for several months, passed away at the St. Clair Medical Center on Wednesday. The 87-year-old, who was born in Tobago in 1926, became Trinidad and Tobago's third president, serving from March 1997 to March 17, 2003. He was also Trinidad and Tobago's third prime minister, serving in that capacity from December 18, 1986 to December 17, 1991. And that's the English segment of National Focus. McPherson St. Luce brings us the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Louis. Premièrement, Discover Dominica Authority a annoncé business des compagnies avion, Win Air et puis Air Antilles, qui branchent en bas un seul parasol pour faire business well pour la Dominique. Parole celle-là, sorti au chairman Discover Dominica Authority et puis Chief Executive Officer d'ASPA, M. Benoit Badwell, pendant la conférence média mercredi.
Nous tenons en réunion avec Air Antilles, avec Winier, et bien une initiative là, comme nous avons dit tout le monde comme que c'est des avions à venir ensemble, puis ça mettait un pli placement pour monde venir en Dominique, plus qui mettait 15 millions seats available pour Dominique pendant l'année, avec Dominique 3 fois par semaine. Avec ça est important parce que Win Air avec Air Antilles, vous avez trouvé connexion en Guadeloupe et France. Avec vous avez trouvé plusieurs connexions même jour en Haute-Saint-Martin. Avec ça, nous avons fait comme que nous avons travaillé avec eux pour nous savoir manœuvre comment nous avons mené plus de monde Dominique. Comme ça, nous avons travaillé parce que plus en plus nous voulons plus de monde vivre Dominique.
Badwell fait parole que business là ka ba moun plus opportunité voyager pour la Dominique.
Travail ça fait avec à présent moun tini plus manœuvre pour venir Dominique Léoville parce que nous savons nous tini différents bulletins pour World Creole Music Festival, moun les venir pour indépendance, moun les venir pour en décembre. Nous à présent qu'à dire comme que yo pas un seul avion pour dépenser on yo tini plus bulletin à présent là yo savine.
On a nouvelle département environ santé qui a mené exhibition qui yo te tient en ville Ozo qui te mettait attention à ces vectors pour d'autres occasions en Dominique. Parole celle-là sur le chef département salam, M. Anthony Scotland.
Nous exposé à Marigot, exposé à Waters, les Saint-Jo, La Plaine, Cassibus, et à mois juillet, nous allons à Guambé. So nous les tout le monde Dominique. Ouais c'est pas ça, c'est l'école là. Après on va plus l'école ici. Et c'est l'école ça nous les ouais là. Ouais ça qui au vecteur garder une life cycle. Si vous regardez life cycle à ces boîtes là, il a montré comment on mange ça move from on egg, Z pour laver, pour puper, pour augmenter, pour adult. Et ça peut approximately about 9 jours. Vous comprenez? So à 9 jours, on a pile même qu'à plus. Si on est optimisé, nous pouvons optimiser un environnement.
En la nouvelle, membre parlement pour Castle Bruce, Honorable Johnson Drago, qui a bien supporté le programme Development Community qui lancé en East PA mercredi. Programme celle-là qui a tombé en bas National Employment Program, qui a aussi pour Village Council et puis Group Development, qui a payé employement par jeunesse en divers projets Development Community. Selon Honorable Drago, pendant le temps, il y a aussi pour le programme celle-là, est bien difficile pour n'importe gouvernement en Caraïbes pour employer tout le monde, mais en caisse Dominique, système là en bas gouvernement Scarit qui tape succès. Drago se fait parole que le gouvernement qui travaille bien wed avancer capacité human resource en Dominique. Honorable Drago aussi bien excité que le programme s'est lancé en Casse-Brousse où la jeune homme qui a engagé un projet d'unification. plusieurs d'autres occasions en Dominique qui bénéficient en bas programme là. Finalement, le ministère de l'Éducation tient une grande exhibition pour culminer l'activité Simon Literacy pour l'école West Coast PA. M. Albert Tyson, c'est officier qui t'a assisté et puis activité là.
Il a suivi une semaine activité littératie qui a fait à toutes l'école Western District là. Ça c'est Cooley Street pour Ozo. So, à toute l'école, il y a une activité individuelle à l'école là. Et puis tout ça a culminé aujourd'hui et puis demain en bas ministry. Thème là, film là, c'est literacy across the curriculum. Ça veut dire c'est en tout aspect d'éducation, nous avons besoin de literacy. Même si c'est mathématiques, c'est agriculture, science, n'importe ça qu'on étudier, il est important pour ça, pour literacy est important à dire. Mon cas quoi literacy c'est pour lire et puis écrire, mais literacy c'est premier qui ça, c'est manière comment pour demander question pour taper information ouvrir, comment pour ça comprendre ça au lire, manière pour ça interpréter, pour ça ouais mini là à dans travail acte. C'est tout bitin literacy qu'a encompassé tout bitin, tout aspect de la vie, tout aspect de l'éducation.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nous faire le créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson Luce. Au revoir.
Find out how you can improve your parenting skills up next in the tip of the day.
Dominica is blessed with an abundance of water, but getting it to your home is an expensive venture. You have a responsibility to conserve water, to use it wisely. Remember the old adage, you never miss the water till the well runs dry. Think water, think life.
Your role as a parent is one of the most important jobs you will ever have. You are responsible for taking care of your children and making sure they have the tools they need to grow into successful and adjusted adults. Even the best parents have room for improvement. Think of yourself as a role model. Children often mimic the behavior of their parents. Demonstrate the actions and values you want your children to embrace, including honesty, compassion, love, dedication, hard work, and generosity. Most of all, share prayer time with your children. Spend quality time with them. Your children need the full attention of you on a regular basis. Share affection with them. Physical contact such as hugs, kisses, and cuddles will make your children feel more secure, loved, and connected to you. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. From all of us here at GIS, I'm Pearl Fontaine. Thank you for watching.